Dear all, a very good evening to all of you. I am Kajal Vahi on behalf of the Texo team. Welcome all our attendees today to the Union Budget and GST session, a detailed analysis and impact assessment. Thanks to all of you for the immense response. We have received thousands of registration for the session. Also, recording of this program will be available on our YouTube channel, Texo. Today, we have with us very esteemed guests, CA Dr. Atul Kumar Gupta sir and Mr. Manoj Kapoor sir. First of all, I would like to introduce Mr. Manoj Kapoor sir, who is the CEO and co-founder of Texo, to say a few words of Texo Online. Sir, please welcome.
Thanks, Kajal, our program coordinator for today's webinar. Hello, friends. First of all, thank you, all of you, for your participation for today's special session on the Union Budget and GST, a detailed analysis and impact assessment with CA Dr. Atul Kumar Gupta ji. Welcome, Atul ji, for sparing time for the Texo subscribers. And friends, prior to hand over the session to Atul ji, I just want to introduce all of you about the salient feature of the and the USP of the Texos. As all of you aware that the Texo is very unique online solution, or you can say the encyclopedia, which is much beyond repository, and where your all needs of GST is addressed at a one place. You get all the case laws with the summary and intelligent search. For your information, just updating, we already incorporated more than 8,500 judgments of the GST in this repository. All notifications, circulars, along with the intelligent search and with the notification trees available to help you, to assist you in your practice. Sample model draft replies is also available to ease in your practice. And GST queries. If you have any queries on any fundamental issues of the GST, you can get the answer of your queries. And you every time you get the real-time updated act, rules, commentary, rate finder, and many more features pertain to GST at a one place. As all of you aware that GST is this is the time in the GST is for the litigation, and Texo is the only provider in the market who facilitate the weekly session with the leading experts on the important judgments and on the case laws and circulars in the GST, and to sharpen your practice, your knowledge. Texo also keeps you updated on via digital modes on the latest notifications, circular, and the newses. As you know that Texo is conceptualized by the leading experts and professionals to keep practice-centric approach and use of technology to get ease and more structured research without wasting time and resource. If you are not using the Texo, then I can say that you are missing a lot and have the opportunity to get the benefit of one of the most advanced library in the GST. If you are looking for subscription or for the demo, I'm just sharing you the number of my colleague, 4x9 693 426. You can reach anytime to get the demo of this product. I'm just again repeating the number, 4x9 693 426. Now, friends, I will not take too much of time and would like to introduce our esteemed speaker of today's session, CA Dr. Atul Kumar Gupta ji. In fact, I can say that introduction of CA Atul Kumar Gupta is just formality, because most of us know about him from so many years and know about his contribution to the profession and especially to the indirect tax practice. CA Atul Kumar Gupta is the board member of IFAC, XBLR International, and chairman of the GST committee of the Federation of Indian Industries. And all of you know that he's the past president of the ICI 2021. He served as a chairman of the Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, Board of Studies, IT Committee, and of course, Indirect Tax Committee of the ICI. And he's on the board of the numerous associations and bodies, especially for his contribution to the indirect tax and the other financial matters. See, Atulji has authored many relevant books and published numerous articles in the leading newspaper, magazines, and professional newsletters, and delivered lectures in more than 1,600 seminars and conferences. Now, welcome. Formally, I am welcome to Atulji. Atulji, take today's session forward and enrich our users, our subscriber on the new changes which comes into the GST. Over to Atulji.
Thank you, Manojji. Very good evening, friends. And at the outset, thanks to the team Texo for organizing this webinar in the very early hours after the finance bill is presented in the parliament by the Honorable Finance Minister. And I have to discuss the amendments which are related to the indirect taxes, specifically related to the GST, which are there are many changes which are there, but to be very specific changes which are relevant for all of you is about 25 changes are there. So, friends, I will be covering around 25 changes which are in this finance bill 2024. My dear friends, as we witness uh, the recent events, the 53rd GST Council meeting was there, and in that 53rd GST Council, there were a lot of announcements were being given. Now, many of these announcements implemented already by the government through the rules amendment in the rules and issued by issuing the various circulars, which we discussed and deliberated on the earlier occasion. In the end of my presentation, I will summarize those 53rd GST Council meeting decision as well in a PPT form to showcase you that now, after this amendment in the finance bill, practically more or less all the amendments have been achieved, which were announced in the 53rd GST Council meeting and even prior to the 53rd GST Council meeting as well. Now, my dear friend, as far as the amendment in the Act, because various decisions which were announced in the 53rd GST Council meeting required the amendment in the Act as well. That's why in the Finance Bill 2024, there are the many amendments which are proposed in the GST Act itself. My dear friend, as I mentioned you, I will be covering only 25 such amendments because there are many amendments which are only ceremonial in nature because of the consequential changes in the various sections. Now, my dear friend, the first and the foremost section, which is I wish to discuss with you, that the insertion of a section 74A, though I will explain you later on because there is a separate amendment for that. But just to share with you that in the many sections of the GST, now replacing the word section 73 and section 74, meaning thereby the earlier the show cause notice, which was supposed to be issued, was there either under section 73, meaning thereby where there is no allegation of fraud, suppression, or collusion. And the amendment, there were the show cause notice which were having the allegation of a fraud, collusion, or a suppression of fact. Now, removing all these differences on a prima facie kind of a situation, they're removing the section 73 and 74. And now, after the enactment of this bill, the section 74A will come into force, which I will explain you meaning thereby. So, my dear friend, at the outset, you just note down that there is an insertion of section 74A, which was announced under the by the 53rd GST Council meeting. Now, my dear friend, the next change, which the provision says, the amendment says, is the insertion of a section 11A. Now, my dear friend, when you are witnessing that at times there is a dispute that whether this activity will be subject to GST or not, then there are the practices which are being followed by the various type of assessees, assuming that this activity is not taxable. I'm giving an example that let us assume that the electricity on a common places will be taxable or not. And if the resident welfare associations are not charging the tax from the resident on the common area maintenance or the common area electricity being provided, then it is a practice. I'm not saying that it become exempted. I'm saying that it is a common practice which is being followed across the country. Now, the government has empowered themselves that in case they feel that this is a common practice being followed by the everybody, and to give the benefit to the SSC at large or unnecessary, creating a situation that there will be a large number of notice will be issued, the government may decide to exempt a particular activity from the levy of tax. So in that case, they need a power. So section 11A has been introduced under this GST Act to say that if a practice is there, which is not, which is generally prevalent regarding the levy of central tax or any supply or goods or service or both, which they feel that, okay, it will reduce the kind of a litigation. In that case, they can issue a notification to exempt or to say that this activity will not be attracting the GST up to that particular period. So, my dear friend, I just wish to share with you that this is something that which is there being introduced through this CGST Act, Section 11A. Now, my dear friend, coming to the next change, which is coming as far as this Section 13, that you have to pay the tax under the reverse charge mechanism. Now, my dear friend, I'm talking about the time of supply. So, when you are liability to pay the tax. Now, my dear friend, when we are discussing about the Section 13, which deals with the reverse charge mechanism, meaning thereby that if you have receiving the invoice from a service provider and you have to pay the tax under the reverse charge mechanism. So when you have to pay the tax. Now, my dear friend, the normal provision which says, which was there, that you have to pay within 60 days from the date of invoice. So I am used to give an example that, say, for example, the invoice was pertaining to the 1st of April. I received the invoice on the 15th of May. I booked the invoice on the, say, for example, the 2nd of June, and I paid to the supplier maybe in December 2023. Now, in that case, the invoice which was pertaining to 1st of April, I paid in December, when my liability to pay the tax will arise. So normally, my friends used to say that when I book the bill or when I pay to the supplier, the answer is that I have to pay the invoice, I have to pay the tax under the reverse charge mechanism within 60 days from the date of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. Meaning thereby from the 1st of April, 60 days will start because based on the invoice. Now, my dear friend, there are the cases when somebody is an unregistered person. He will not raise the invoice at all. And it is the self-invoice which has to be generated by the buyer, the recipient of the services. Now, my dear friend, in those cases where the supplier is an unregistered person and the buyer has to raise a self-generated invoice on himself, in that case, this 60 days provision will not be applicable and this period will start when this invoice will be issued. So it will not be a case that when the services are provided within 60 days. So my dear friend, I give you an example that, for example, an advocate is there, which is an unregistered person. He raised the invoice to you, he provided the service to you in 2020. Now you forget to pay the tax under the reverse charge mechanism because you are not aware that I have to pay under the reverse charge mechanism. In 2024, you came to know that you are supposed to pay under the reverse charge mechanism. And you are raising the invoice to yourself now for the services being received on 2020. So, my dear friend, in that case, the point of taxation as per the time of supply, Section 13 is saying, now amended, is saying that the time of supply will arise on the day when you are raising the self-invoice to yourself. Meaning thereby, now in 2024, your liability will accrue and accordingly, there will be a benefit that the provision of Section 16(4) will not be applicable on you based on the 2020. It will be based on the 2024. Meaning thereby, now you will pay the tax and claim can avail the credit for whatever the tax you are paying under the reverse charge mechanism. So, my dear friend, the point which I explained you when this 53rd GST Council meeting was announced, that there will be amendment which will come to enable you the credit, because there was a litigation going on. The department was saying that you have to pay the tax along with the interest, and now the credit will not be available because you are paying the tax in 2024 for the services which was received in 2020. So your eligibility to claim the credit was only up to the September 2020. So that was the issue which was there, which was blocking your credit. But now with this amendment and the Section 13 will ease that particular aspect for the benefit of the assessee at large. Now, my dear friend, coming to the fourth change, which is a very welcome change. I discussed with you the case of we discussed the case when there was an amendment in the 53rd GST Council, when this case of M-Trade Links was there. That in the case of M-Trade Links, the Kerala High Court mentioned that not only for the year 2021, the last date to avail the credit is 30th November, It was even for a 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20 also, because at that time, the last date to avail the credit under section 16.4 was September. So the Kerala High Court mentioned no. The amendment is like this, that it was as if it was always the November 30th. So meaning thereby, even for 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20, the last date to avail the credit as per the 16.4 was the 30th of November of the preceding financial year. But my dear friend, the government went to a next level of benefit, that they amended the section 16.4 in such a way that they inserted a section 16.5 in such a way that they have given a relief that for the financial year 2017, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 and 21, now the limit for the availment of the credit under section 16.4 will be 30th of November 2021. So, my dear friend, in case you have filed your return for 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 and 2021, even up to 30th of November 2021, the benefit of the 16.4 will be available to you. So, there will not be any kind of I will say, the liability that you have to reverse the credit as the department was asking for. Now, my dear friend, there is another amendment. So, apart from, along with this fourth amendment, I am taking you a 25th amendment of my presentation, which says that in case you have already paid. So, this says that in case you have already paid the tax under section 16.4 because of the department asked for the same, you reverse the credit. In that case, the refund will not be available. So, my dear friend, there is a amendment which is being introduced that I will just to share with you that if you will go to the finance bill, you have to read the clause number 146 of the finance bill, which says that no refund shall be made of all the tax paid or the input tax credit reversed, which would have not been so paid or not reversed had section 114 been in force at all material times. So meaning thereby that the refund, in case you have on the force of the department, you reverse the GST, whatever the GST was paid because of the section 16.4, then the refund will not be available. So this is something that whosoever followed the instructions given by the department will be in a kind of on a loser side. Whosoever is litigating, they will be getting the benefit, because now they will be having this kind of a amendment in this section 16 subsection 4, which I just shared with you. So you have to read the clause number 114 vis-a-vis the clause number 116 to understand the whole gamut of this section 16 subsection 4 of the amendment. Then, my dear friend, coming to the next one, the next change, which is in relation to the section 16.4 vis-a-vis section 29. Now, my dear friend, you are aware that in case I have a registration and my registration got cancelled by the department, so I have to fight that, okay, it should be revoked. So now later on, say for example, my registration got revoked in the month of December, and the last date to avail the credit is 30th of November as per section 16.4. So if my registration got revoked in the month of December, then whether I will be able to avail the credit for the entire year vis-a-vis this period in between? So the answer is yes. So as per this new amendment, which is there under again in the clause number 114, which says that if you will file your return within 30 days from that revocation, in that case, the credit which was in a limbo, which was in a dilemma, which was actually there was a bar on that credit because your registration was not active, will be lifted away, and you will be eligible to avail the credit as per the 16.4 as if it was an original condition. So, my dear friend, in case of a cancellation of a registration, revocation of a registration, you have to file the return within 30 days to avail the credit which was otherwise in a challenge as per the section 16.4. So, my dear friend, whether it was a credit, say for example, I'm giving you an example that you are living in a Feb 2024. You have your registration got cancelled. Now your registration got revoked in the December 2024. So whether the credit related up to the March or even the credit which gained after the Feb 2024, say up to 31st of March, Whether you will be eligible for both, the answer is yes. So the credit up to Feb, when your registration was active, will be available. And even the credit from Feb to March 31st will also be available in case you filed your return within 30 days from the date of registration got reactivated in the month of December. So say, for example, you got your registration reactivated on 16th of December. If you are filing your return on the 15th of January, before that, your both the credit prior to the cancellation and even after the cancellation, both will be available to you as per this amendment, which is there under section 29 vis-a-vis section 16.4, 16.5 is there. Now, my dear friend, we covered the 6th amendment. Now coming to the 7th one. My dear friend, the 7th amendment is talking about the section 17 subsection 5. My dear friend, you are aware about the block credit. In case of a block credit, there was a provision that in case you are paying the tax, so there was a initiation of an inquiry by the department, and that show cause notice or the imposition of tax was there under section 74, 129 or 130, meaning thereby that there was an allegation of a fraud was there. The problem was there in relation to the e-way bill or the storage, which is a kind of a unauthorized storage was there, and the department imposed certain penalties. Now, if somebody is paying the tax, whether the buyer of your services can claim the credit, the answer was no. So if once the section 74 was invoked, you are not eligible to avail the credit. But now, my dear friend, under that section 17 subsection 5 clause, the section 74 word has been removed in a way that now, even if you are paying the tax under section 74A, the credit will be available to you as per the section 17 subsection 5 amendment, which was introduced via clause number 115 of this finance bill. So, my dear friend, this was the 6th amendment, that now under section 17.5, there is a benefit which was introduced, that the credit will be available because the reference of the section 74 has been removed from that particular provision of section 17 subsection 5. Then, my dear friend, coming to the 7th change, and that talks about the revocation with a condition. So, my dear friend, you are aware that when we talk about section 30, which deals with the registration and the revocation, at times what is happening that there is a cancellation of a registration, but if you are filing an appeal or something, you are following the chasing the department, they are revoking the cancellation of the registration. But now, my dear friend, the government has inserted a particular clause, proviso, which says that the such revocation of a cancellation of a registration shall be subject to such condition and restriction as may be prescribed, meaning thereby in the times to come, through the rules, the government is going to introduce certain restrictions which can be imposed in case, even if the revocation of the registration is there. So say, for example, there is a charge of a fake, you are alleged to be a fake supplier. Now you applied and your registration got revoked, cancellation got revoked, but the department will say, no, I will put a certain condition that you have to file the return within this period, or you will not be able to do this, or I will not give you the benefit of like this. So these kind of restrictions the department can impose while they are revoking the cancellation of the registration as given in the clause number 117 of this finance bill 2024. My dear friend, then there is a 8th amendment, which is a consequential amendment, which we discussed at the time of supply section 13, meaning thereby, as I mentioned you, that when you have to generate a self-invoice, so you received the services in 2020, you raise the invoice in 2024 or to yourself on a self-invoice. But my dear friend, as section 31 deals with the self-invoicing, the law says that I will prescribe the procedure and the time frame also when you should raise the invoice in case of a self-invoice mechanism when you are buying from an unregistered person. Then, my dear friend, the 9th change is in relation to the TDS. Now, my dear friend, you are aware that in case of a government department or a certain PSUs are there, if they are deducting, they are buying for a beyond a threshold limit, they have to file a TDS related return. But at times, what was happening that if the TDS liability for a particular month is not there, they were not supposed to file. And then there was a kind of that, okay, some returns filed, some returns were not filed. But now, under this section 39 of the CGST Act, the government amended the law in such a way that whether there is a liability for a TDS or not, You have to file a monthly return. So there is an amendment which is I just wish to get you noted. My dear friend, likewise, there are small amendments which are not counting, that in the section 49, section 50, section 51, wherever there was a mention of a section 73 or section 74, they amended the provision in such a way that section 73 and 74 will go away, and it will be section 74A will be inserted. So practically it will be that the section 74, 73, 74 or 74A. So there is a new section which will get inserted in all these provision of a section 49, 50 and 51, because for the earlier period up to 23, 24, there is a mention of a section 73, 74. After that, it will be only section 74A. Then, my dear friend, coming to the two very technical amendments, which are practically of a already of a less use, but just to share with you that as far as the drawback is concerned, so when you are looking for a drawback of a central tax, when the drawback was there on a higher rate of tax, then there was a kind of a situation that you are not eligible to get the benefit of a refund. But my dear friend, now since already the custom duty provisions and other provisions were amended in such a way that even today the situation was same, that you are eligible to claim the refund only when there is a lower rate of drawback you have initiated. So my dear friend, that provision got now formalized through the amendment in the clause number 124 of the CGST Act. Similarly, my dear friend, as far as this 124 clause I'm talking about, the export duty. So in case there are the items which attract the export duty, now if you are whether you are exporting without payment of duty tax or with payment of tax, the refund will not be available in case of a product which attract the export duty. So there is a, I will say there will be a bearing. One has to note down that in case your product attracts the export duty, you will not be eligible to claim the refund, whether you are exporting with payment of tax or without payment of tax. Similarly, my dear friend, the section 74A reference has been inserted under section 61, that is scrutiny, assessment of a non-filer, section 63 URD, summary assessment, section 64, section 65 audit, section 66 special audit. Everywhere they have inserted the section 74A so that the necessary no kind of ambiguity can be there. Coming to the 12th change. My dear friend, you are aware that when we talk about section 70, that is the summons we are talking about. It is the company officials who has to appear for the summons, or the directors or the employees, as the case may be. But at times there was a situation when some chartered accountant or a advocates or a cost accountant wished to appear. In that case, they were not allowed to. But now, my dear friend, under section 70, they have inserted a section subsection 1A, which says that all the persons summoned under subsection 1 shall be bound to attend either in person or by an authorized representative, as such officer may direct. So, my dear friend, now they have inserted the word authorized representative under section 70 in such a way that even apart from the company officials, somebody else as a professional can also appear against the summon under section 70. Now, my dear friend, coming to the next amendment, which is there, as I mentioned you many times in this presentation, the 13th amendment is talking about section 73, section 74, 13th and 14th amendment. Section 73, you are aware when there is an allegation of a short payment of tax, not for the allegation of a fraud, collusion or a suppression. In that case, section 73 was there. But in case when there is an allegation of fraud is there or a suppression of facts is there, then the section 74 was supposed to be invoked by the department. There was a limit as well that the time period, the time barring provisions were also there. But now, my dear friend, for going forward after the financial year, from the financial year 23-24, the section 73 and section 74 will not remain applicable, meaning thereby that from the 1st of April 2024, all the notices will be issued under section 74A only. there will not be any invocation of section 73-74 after the 1st of April 2024. So that is the two very, very important amendments which is there under section for the purpose of a show cause notice and the litigation of related to the GST. Now, my dear friend, further to that, there was also a definition which was there under section 74, which deals with the what is suppression means. So there was an explanation too, which was there, which defines what is suppression meaning thereby. Now, my dear friend, under section 74, that explanation also have been omitted from the CGST Act. Now, my dear friend, coming to the 15th amendment, which is related to this amendment, that there is an insertion of section 74A. Now, my dear friend, I will explain you what is this section 74A means. What is the implication of an insertion of a section 74A under the CGST Act. Now, my dear friend, as per the section 74A, the notice can be issued within 42 months from the date of a filing of your annual return or the actual date of an annual return, whichever is later. Meaning thereby that from the date of your annual return, earlier, what was the situation? That there was a situation. I will try to prepare a small whiteboard. Let me try if I able to. Yes, I can. So, my dear, what was the position? That in case there is an allegation of a short payment of tax or erroneous refund was there. In that case, my dear friend, under section 73, what was the position? That I can issue a show cause notice. The department was can issue me the show cause notice within 33 months. Within 33 months, because the time period was 36 months. So within the 3 years, they have to complete the proceedings. So under this section 73, they were supposed to issue me the show cause notice under by 33 months. Or in the case of a section 74, the department was supposed to issue me the notice. They have to complete by the 54 months. Because they have to complete the adjudication in the 60 months. Here it was 36 months. So you have to complete the order in original within this period. Now, my dear friend, what will happen under section 74A? That the period is available is 42 months that you have to issue a show cause notice. And in that case, you have to complete the adjudication process in the 12 months, which can be further extended by 6 months, meaning thereby within 18 months, you have to complete the adjudication process. So it will be again 60 months. So, my dear friend, what happened now after the insertion of this section 74A, there's that for section 74A, meaning thereby there is an allegation of fraud, there will be a benefit to the SSC that rather than the show cause notice can be issued in 54 months, now it can be only issued in the 42 months. But as far as the non-fraud cases are there, earlier the normal period was 33 months, but now it will be increased to 42 months here in this particular case. So what will happen? That in a normal case, when the show cause notice was getting time barred for a shorter period, but now it will even raise to a 42 months period. So there will be kind of a challenge to the SSCs that they will be asked to pay the tax even for a larger period. Now, my dear friend, another aspect which is there, which will be there, that the penalty. Now, my dear friend, I discuss the penalty related aspect. Now, my dear friend, under section 73, there was a penalty of 10% or 10,000 rupees, whichever is higher. In the section 74, there was a penalty up to 100% of the tax, which can be reduced to 15, 25 as the case may be based on your compliances level. But my dear friend, under section 74A, what is going to happen? That there will be a uniform show cause notice. It will be a single show cause notice, including the allegation of a fraud, or it may not, including or excluding, meaning thereby there will be a show cause notice for a demand, plus there will be a penalty provisions which will be there under the show cause notice. Either they will say that there is a fraud or there will be no fraud. So, my dear friend, in case there is a fraud, then the department will impose this penalty, or in case there is a no fraud, the department will impose this penalty. Now, my dear friend, if you will contest the case and you will say, no, my case, there is a allegation of fraud is wrong. So, my dear friend, what was happening earlier, that in case of a service tax regime, that if there is an invocation of extended period, you challenge that, then the entire show cause notice was becoming a void ab initio. But under the GST law, what happened, that they mentioned that in case you are succeeded in proving that there is no allegation of fraud, in that case, as per section 74(5), that your case, the section 75, that what will happen, that your case will convert it under section 73. So if you fail, the department failed to convince the authorities that there was a fraud, in that case, the notice will be converted under section 73. Now, my dear friend, here we are going with a one step forward, that the law says that the notice will be issued under section 74. Show cause notice will be there. The penalty, say for example, the department is imposing a penalty for fraud. You succeeded in proving that there is no fraud. In that case, okay, this penalty will not be there. But in that case, this penalty will be leviable. So automatically, minimum 10% penalty will be there in all the show cause notice, whether there is a case of a fraud or not. So if the fraud is there, the penalty may reach to 100%. But if the penalty fraud is not there, the penalty will come down to 10%. So what will happen? There will be a penalty in all the cases now onwards by virtue of this kind of amendment. And the second challenge which will be there by insertion of a section 74A is that the normal period, the demand for a normal period, which was earlier for 33 months, now will be increased to 42 months from the 1st of April 2024. So, my dear friend, this was a lengthy amendment. I try to explain you in a very simple manner. So, amendment number 13, 14, 15 was there. Now, my dear friend, apart from this particular amendment, because now there is no whiteboard required, I just wish to share with you, as usual, that if the demand for the 24-25 is there under section 74A for this particular and subsequent period, the department can issue a statement and that will be treated as a show cause notice being issued. Then, my dear friend, the other aspects that as I mentioned you, that you have to pay a reduced penalty for 15%, 25%, or the 50%, that will continue to be there. The only benefit which now coming to all of you is that earlier it was, if you want to go for a reduced penalty, you have to pay within 30 days from the show cause notice or within 30 days from the order. Now that 30 days has been converted to 60 days. So if you want to take the benefit of a reduced penalty, you have to pay within 60 days from the STN and the penalty will reduce to 25%. After order, within 60 days from the order, the penalty will reduce to 50%. So that is there, my dear friends, you must note it down. Then, my dear friend, coming to the section amendment number 16, which is the amount you have to deposit while filing the appeal. So, my dear friend, as announced in the 53rd GST Council meeting, that this amount of amount you have to deposit along with the appeal will be reduced. So, my dear friend, that is being announced here, that you have to pay the 10% plus 10%, meaning thereby if you have to go to the appeal to the tribunal, earlier it was 10 plus 20, now it will come down to 10 plus 10. So that is there, and subject to the maximum amount, which was earlier 50 crores, now reduced to 40 crores. That is 20 plus 20 crore, as the case may be. Now, my dear friend, coming to the 17th amendment, which is the anti-profiteering. So all the anti-profiteering cases now will have a sunset clause. So I'm giving you the two amendments at a time, and all the cases will be shifted to the tribunal. So the empowering provision under section 109 has been inserted via clause number 138 of this finance bill. When you have to file the appeal, because as per the original provision, you have to file the appeal in the tribunal within 3 months from the appointment of the president of the tribunal. But since the mechanism has not been initiated right now, so they have amended the section 112 in such a way that they will notify a particular date when the appeal to be filed before the GST tribunal. So that amendment is, my friends, is there. Coming to the 20th amendment, my dear friend, that is the liability to pay by the e-commerce operator. So as per the section 122, there was a provision that every electronic commerce operator, if not complying with the provision, they were liable to pay the penalty, even if they are not liable to collect tax at source. But now, my dear friend, they have amended section 122 in such a way that the electronic commerce operator will be liable to pay the penalties. There will be liability only in case they have a liability to collect the tax at source under section 52. So all the e-commerce operator will not be subject to the section 122 of the CGST Act. My dear friend, then there is a welcome change as far as the section 128A, which you are all eagerly waiting for, that you pay the tax and no interest and penalty will be there. So my dear friend, as per the clause number 142 of the CGST of the finance bill, there is an insertion of a section 128A of the finance bill in the finance bill through the finance bill and the GST Act, which says that in case you the period pertains to your dispute is 1718, 1819, and 1920. So from the 1st of July 2017, the dispute relates to up to 31st of March 2020. In that case, if there you will pay the tax, then there will not be any interest or penalty will be leviable. So practically it will be an amnesty scheme. But my dear friend, there are many catch. Number one, that my dear friend, they are saying that yes, I am giving you the benefit that in case there is a show cause notice was issued, but no order was passed. So your case falls under that category. The order in original was issued, but the appeal is pending. Then also your case falls under this amnesty category. Even the appeal order was issued, but the second appeal, the tribunal appeal was pending. In that case also, your case falls under this particular category. So the benefit is that whether your case is at any stage, whether it is a show cause notice only, the order is being passed, or even the appeal order is being passed, still you can opt for the scheme. So the benefit is there that you can go with the 128A and you can pay the interest, pay the tax, and interest and penalty will be waived off. But my dear friend, now coming to the three particular catch. Number one, that this provision is applicable only in a case when the show cause notice attracts section 73. So it was only invocation of section 73, meaning thereby, if there is an invocation of section 74, meaning thereby there is an allegation of a fraud, collusion, misstatement, or suppression of facts is there. In that case, this scheme is not available to you. Number two, that in case there was an allegation, so benefit is that in case there was an allegation of a section 74 in the show cause notice, you contested, and the order in or the original or the adjudicating authority or the commissioner appeal removed the section 74 and converted this show cause notice under section 73. In that case, the benefit will be available to you. Very rare chance that you will have this kind of a situation. But just to share with you that this provision of 128 is available only in case when there is a section 73. Otherwise, this provision is not available in case the show cause notice was issued under section 74. So this provision is not available to you. Now coming to the another aspect, that the department says that in case that your matter was in appeal, so your matter was in appeal, in that case, it will not be only the tax we are talking about. So they have the power that they will provide that some kind of additional amount you have to pay in case your matter is there with the appellate authority, meaning thereby your order was passed, you are in the appeal and you want to go for the scheme. So in that case, it is not only the tax, but the department will say, for example, I'm saying it is not there in the law. The department will say that 10% of the interest and penalty you have to pay, or the 10% of the tax also you have to pay additionally to get the benefit of this section 128A. So that it says, the provision says that in case the appeal is filed under section 107 or 112, or even by the department under section 117, or as the case may be, that the said person pays an additional amount of tax payable, if any, in accordance with the order of the appellate authority or the appellate tribunal or the court, as the case may be, within 3 months from the date of said order. So my dear friend, it says that you have to pay some additional amount as well. Now, my dear friend, in case somebody has already paid, so say for example, somebody already paid some interest or penalty to the department along with the tax, In that case, can I claim the refund? The answer is no. They have specifically mentioned that the no refund will be available in case the interest and penalty has already been paid. This provision also, the benefit of 128 also will not be available to a cases when there is an allegation of a erroneous refund is there. So say, for example, the department is saying that you claim 50 lakhs rupees erroneous refund. You have to pay me the interest and penalty. So can I pay only the 50 lakhs of a refund erroneously claimed? The answer is no. You have to pay the interest and penalty. In that case, the benefit will not be available. Then, my dear friend, a very important amendment. It says the section 128A subsection 3 says that in case you have filed a writ before the you have filed a writ before the Honorable High Court, or you have filed appealed before the appellate authority or the appellate tribunal or the court, as the case may be, you have to withdraw that. In case you want to take the benefit of this scheme, you have to withdraw that before this section get notified. So if this section is going to notified in next 15 days, you have to withdraw your appeals before that. Only then you are eligible to claim the benefit of this scheme. So if you are you want to take the benefit in both the hands, you want to keep the sweets in both the hands. One side you want to go with the rate, and another side you want to take the benefit of 128A. You will try to weigh that which will be the beneficial situation. Then the scheme is not for you. This scheme is available only once you will withdraw that writ or the appeal before from the forums you have filed with before this act, before this section get notified. So that's a very, very important provision which you have to all note down. And then, my dear friend, they are saying that in case the proceedings deemed to be proceedings are deemed to be concluded because you also complied with the provision, in that case, no appeal can be filed against that particular aspect. So, my dear friend, this was a 128A. Comprehensively, I try to cover the last three amendments. Section 140, as far as the transitional provisions are there, you received the services prior to the 1st of July 2017. You received the invoice prior to that, or you received invoice after that. But there was an embargo on the claiming of the transitional credit. Now, the amendment has been introduced for the same and will be available to you. Section 171, that is the anti-profiteering authority. They got the sunset clause. So now no more anti-profiteering authority. And then finally, the Schedule 3, Section 7, Schedule 3. The 53rd GST Council announced that there will not be any GST liability on the co-insurance premium or the reinsurance commission received by the reinsurance companies. But that was only an announcement. Now, under Schedule 3 of the Section 7 of the CGST Act, they amended that Schedule 3 and inserted the two clause. One is apportionment of the co-insurance premium, and the services by insurance to the reinsurer for getting the commission will be falling under the Schedule 3, meaning thereby they will be neither a supply of goods nor a supply of service. My dear friend, similar amendments are there under the IGST Act, like Section 11A. They inserted the Section 6A over there. So likewise, there are the amendments for the filing of appeal and everything is there, which I already covered with all of you. So I believe that I covered all the 25 amendments which are there, important for all of you to understand that what was there. So just to repeat you the amendments, because some members may join late or some may have missed. Number one, that the Section 74A has been inserted. Section 73, 74 will not be available after the first from the 1st of April 2024. In the reverse charge, when you have to raise the invoice to yourself, there is an amendment in Section 13. Section 74 has the two amendment that for all the earlier period, 17, 18 to 18, 19, 19, 20, 2021, the last date to avail the credit is now 31st of March, November 2021. And even for a cancelled registration, if you file the return within 30 days, you will get all the credits which were there during the cancellation period. Section 74, Section 17.5, block credit will not have an embargo from the Section 74. Then, my dear friend, all the revocations of cancellation of registration may have certain conditions. Then, my dear friend, the TDS return has to be filed on a monthly basis, mandatorily for the PSUs and the government, irrespective of the tax is deducted or not. The drawback scheme, the export duty, the goods attracting the export duty will have certain aspect. Authorized person can go for the summons. Then, my dear friend, I discussed with you the insertion of section 74A vis-a-vis the impact of that in the time period, time barring period, penalty, then how it will be calculated, and so and so. We also discussed about the this reduce pre-deposit aspect, that okay, it is now 10 plus 10. That is 20 crore only. Maximum amount is 20 crore, and for appeal it is 10, and tribunal it is 10 rather than 10 plus 20. And I discussed with you section 128A insertion, that in which conditions the section 128 this amnesty scheme will be available, and in which condition it will not be available. What are the preconditions to avail these benefit? And in case you have already paid any amount for dispute, either under section 16.4 or otherwise, even the section, this amendment is there, the refund will not be available for any amount which is earlier paid for the disputes, either it was related to section 16.4 or otherwise. So, my dear friend, this was all from my side as far as this GST amendments are there in the Finance Bill 2024. Thanks to the entire team, including Vishalji, Anmolji, and everybody, Sumitji, in my team, who prepared the well structured notes for me, so that I can explain you briefly with analysis all the amendments which are there in this Finance Bill 2024. Thank you very much to the team Taxo for giving me this opportunity. Though it was difficult to comprehend everything in a very like a very short time, but once again, as I mentioned you, the team supported me, and we are able to deliver, I believe, as per your expectations. Now I have the questions from Anshuri. Can we say that section 11A has been inserted to address the old tussle of GST on ENA? Even it was trade practice not to pay GST on ENA. I will not comment on this, Anushri. You are intelligent enough to understand that why this 11A has been inserted. Gauravji, what if the vendor filed the return belated and we have availed the ITC on time? So, Gauravji, there are the many judgments which are there from the Honorable High Courts, that if the assessee is filing the return belatedly, there is no fault of the buyer and he can always avail the credit. So, there is no embargo on you. There are the many judgments which you should refer with. Whether section 16.4 apply, there is no need of section 16.4 for this kind of a situation. So I will just say you, हीरा मोतवानी जी, यदि कोई व्यक्ति रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए उत्तरदायी है पर उसने रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं कराया, ऐसे में जीएसटी की धारा 74 के तहत कार्रवाई होगी या 73 के, क्योंकि रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लेना कोई फ्रॉड नहीं है, कोई व्यक्ति अनजाने में रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं ले पाया। सबसे बड़ी विडंबना यह है कि जो विलफुल डिफॉल्टर है, टैक्स नहीं पटाया है, पेनल्टी भी नहीं पटाया है, उनको ब्याज और पेनल्टी को माफ किया गया है, परंतु विलफुल डिफॉल्टर नहीं है और अपना कर दायित्व देने के लिए तैयार है, उन पे आज की तारीख में कार्रवाई करते हुए धारा 74 के अंतर्गत ब्याज और पेनल्टी लगाई जा रही है। मैं आपको ये कहना चाहूंगा कि हीरा जी, कि आप अगर ये प्रूव कर पाए कि देयर वाज नो फ्रॉड, सो रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लेना अपने आप में, बहुत सारे जजमेंट हैं जो ये कहते हैं रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लेना कोई फ्रॉड नहीं है। आपको ये बताना पड़ेगा कि आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन क्यों नहीं लिया, आपने अपनी इनकम टैक्स की रिटर्न में सारी डिटेल दिखाई थी, आपको कुछ कंफ्यूजन था, कोई आपका कोई सर्कुलर था जिसपे आप विश्वास करते थे, कोई जजमेंट था जिसपे आपको लगा कि जिसकी वजह से आपको नहीं लेना है। अगर आप ये दिखा पाते हैं कि देर वाज ए बोनाफाइडी, देर ये वो विलफुल डिफॉल्ट नहीं है, ये एक बोनाफाइडी मिस्टेक है, आपको समझ नहीं थी, तो आपका ये जो है वो सेक्शन 73 में फॉल कर जाएगा और उसके बाद आप जो है ये सेक्शन 128 का या दूसरे बेनिफिट आप जो है वो ले सकते हैं। उसके बाद नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज फ्रॉम महेंद्र जैन जी, सप्लायर हैज नॉट सप्लाई इन द जीएसटीआर 1 फॉर 2021 ड्यू टू कोविड सिचुएशन, बट व्हाइल फाइलिंग एनुअल रिटर्न ही हैज पेड. So, as I mentioned you in the answer to Gaurav ji, that Mahinder ji, you can always claim. So it's not your fault. It is the fault by, in case it is being paid. So if the, and at all the tax has not been paid, then the situation is different. But if it is paid belatedly, then you can always avail the credit. Sir, it is a bit fast. Will you be sharing PPT also for amendment? My dear friend, I have the option available for 60 minutes only. That's why I'm a little fast, but the PPT I have not prepared yet. Tomorrow I will prepare in the night and then I will share to the members at large. Asha ji, if the order is issued on 22nd of July and not appeal filed, then section 1 clause 142 will apply, meaning thereby 1920. Yes, the order. So this is available to you, as I mentioned you. whether you have filed the appeal or not. This provision will be available to you. In case you have already filed the appeal, you have to withdraw that. That is the point. If there is only penalty and interest is payable, but no tax is payable, can also the dealer take the benefit? The answer is yes. You can always take the benefit of this as well, Mahindraji. Sushanta Datta, just I'm trying to. Sir, there is any change in refund of ITC where inverted duty structure? The answer is there is no change as far as this concern. Garima, department forced the foreign client to pay GST on basis of emails. Can I appeal the? Yes, you can always appeal in case the department has created the demand. So thank you, Ashaji, for your nice, kind words. With this, I concluded my presentation. All the questions answered. Over to you, Manojji and Kajalji.
So, with that, we come to the end of this wonderful session today. I hope you all found the session informative and insightful. I would like to thank CA Dr. Atul Kumar Gupta sir and Manoj sir for his time today and for sharing his wonderful insights with all of us. It has been an honor and privilege to have you all with us. Also, I would like to inform you that our next session will be on 22nd August 2024 and the topic is essential tips on GST prior to file income tax return. Kindly register yourself and join the same. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Kajal. Thank you, Atulji, for giving a time.